I found out my fiancé was cheating on me 3 hours before our wedding when his mistress showed up at the venue wearing a white dress and carrying a folder full of receipts that proved everything. I'm 29 years old, and my name is Claire. Up until that Saturday morning, I thought I was living a fairy tale. I was marrying the love of my life in front of 200 guests at a beautiful vineyard estate. My dress was perfect. The flowers were perfect. Everything was exactly as I had dreamed since I was a little girl. I had no idea that in less than 3 hours my entire world would shatter into a million pieces. Let me back up and give you some context. I met Nathan 5 years ago at a mutual friend's birthday party. He was charming and confident and made me laugh harder than anyone ever had. We started dating immediately, and it felt effortless. He was a pharmaceutical sales rep who traveled a lot for work, but we made it work. Or, at least I thought we did. Nathan proposed to me on our 4-year anniversary. He took me to the beach where we had our first date and got down on one knee at sunset. It was romantic and perfect, and I said yes, without hesitation. We started planning the wedding immediately. I was so excited to become his wife, to build a life together, to start a family. I thought I knew exactly who I was marrying. The wedding planning process was stressful, but mostly fun. Nathan let me make most of the decisions, which I appreciated since he was traveling so much for work. He missed a few vendor meetings and cake tastings, but I understood. His job was demanding, and he was working hard to provide for our future. At least that's what I told myself every time he canceled plans or came home late or took calls in another room. Looking back, now I can see all the red flags I missed. The way he guarded his phone. The sudden increase in overnight business trips. The new cologne he started wearing. The gym membership he suddenly cared about. But at the time I was so wrapped up in wedding planning and my own job as a teacher that I didn't question any of it. I trusted him completely. The night before the wedding, we had our rehearsal dinner. Nathan seemed distracted and kept checking his phone. When I asked if he was okay, he said he was just nervous about the big day. He kissed my forehead and told me he couldn't wait to marry me. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? In less than 24 hours, I was going to be his wife. That night, Nathan stayed at his best man's house following the tradition that we shouldn't see each other before the wedding. I stayed at the venue's bridal suite with my bridesmaids. We drank champagne and did face masks and talked about how perfect tomorrow would be. My best friend Sarah kept saying I was glowing. I remember feeling so happy I thought my heart might burst. I had no idea what was coming. The morning of the wedding, I woke up at 6. I couldn't sleep because I was too excited. My bridesmaids were still asleep, so I made coffee and sat on the balcony watching the sunrise. The vineyard was beautiful in the early morning light. Everything was quiet and peaceful. I remember thinking this was the last sunrise I would watch as an unmarried woman. I felt grateful and blessed, and so incredibly lucky. By 8 o'clock, the venue was buzzing with activity. The florist was setting up centerpieces. The caterers were prepping food. The photographer arrived to start taking getting ready shots. My hairstylist and makeup artist showed up, and we started the transformation process. I was in the chair getting my makeup done when everything fell apart. It was about 10:30 in the morning. The ceremony was scheduled for 2 o'clock. I was laughing at something my bridesmaid Jessica said when there was a commotion downstairs. Raised voices. Someone shouting. My wedding planner rushed into the bridal suite looking panicked. She said there was a situation, and I needed to come downstairs right away. My stomach dropped. I thought maybe the caterer had canceled or the flowers were wrong or some other wedding disaster. I stood up in my robe with half my makeup done and followed her downstairs. Nothing could have prepared me for what I saw. Standing in the main entrance of the venue was a woman I had never seen before. She was about my age with long dark hair, and she was wearing a white dress. Not a wedding guest dress. A wedding dress. She was holding a folder, and she looked furious. When she saw me, she started walking toward me, with purpose. "Are you Claire?" she asked. Her voice was shaking but firm. I nodded because I couldn't find words. My brain couldn't process what I was seeing. Who is this woman, and why was she wearing a wedding dress to my wedding? "My name is Amanda," she said. And I've been sleeping with your fiancé for 2 years. The room started spinning. I heard gasping from my bridesmaids who had followed me downstairs. I felt Sarah grab my arm to steady me. Amanda was still talking, but I couldn't hear her over the ringing in my ears. 2 years. She said 2 years. That meant Nathan had been cheating on me for half of our engagement. I don't believe you. I finally managed to say. You need to leave. This is my wedding day. Amanda's expression shifted from anger to something almost like pity. I know this is terrible timing, but I had to tell you. I found out 3 days ago that he was getting married. To you. He told me you two had broken up months ago. He said he was going to marry me. She opened the folder she was carrying and started pulling out papers. Printed text messages. Photos. Hotel receipts. Credit card statements. My hands were shaking as I took them from her. I didn't want to look, but I couldn't stop myself. The text messages were explicit and romantic. Nathan calling her baby and sweetheart. Making plans to see her. Telling her he loved her. The photos showed them together at restaurants and on what looked like vacation. Amanda was wearing a ring in some of them. Not an engagement ring, but something significant. The receipts showed hotel rooms booked in cities where Nathan claimed he was traveling for work. He gave me this promise ring 6 months ago, Amanda said quietly, holding up her hand. He said we would get engaged after his work situation stabilized. He said he was in the process of leaving his ex. I didn't know his ex was actually his fiancé. I didn't know he was planning a wedding. I felt like I was going to throw up. Sarah was crying next to me. Jessica had gone completely pale. My wedding planner was frantically making phone calls. The photographer had stopped taking pictures and was just standing there in shock. This couldn't be happening. This had to be a nightmare. How did you find out? I asked. My voice didn't sound like my own. Amanda's eyes filled with tears. I saw the wedding announcement online. A mutual acquaintance had shared it. That's when I realized everything he told me was a lie. I tried to call him, but he blocked my number. So I showed up here. I'm so sorry. But you deserve to know the truth before you marry him. I wanted to call Nathan. To demand an explanation. To hear him tell me this was all a misunderstanding. But deep down I knew it wasn't. Those text messages were real. Those photos were real. The evidence was overwhelming and damning. My fiancé had been living a double life, and I had been too blind to see it. My mom came running in from outside, where she had been greeting early arriving guests. She saw the papers in my hands and the woman in the white dress, and she immediately understood something was very wrong. Claire, honey, what's happening? I couldn't speak. I just handed her the folder. I watched her face change as she looked through the evidence. Confusion turning to understanding, turning to rage. She looked at Amanda and then at me, and then she pulled out her phone. I'm calling him right now, she said. Her hands were shaking with anger. Nathan answered on the second ring. My mom put him on speaker. Nathan, where are you? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady. I'm at Mark's house getting ready, he said. He sounded cheerful and relaxed. Is everything okay? Is Claire freaking out? Tell her I can't wait to see her. There's a woman here named Amanda, my mom said. She says she's been having an affair with you for 2 years. She has proof. Text messages. Photos. Hotel receipts. She's standing in our venue right now, wearing a wedding dress. What do you have to say about that? The silence on the other end of the phone was deafening. It lasted so long I thought he had hung up. Then I heard him take a shaky breath. Mom, I can explain, he said quietly. Don't call me Mom, my mother snapped. You don't get to call me that. Is it true? Have you been cheating on my daughter? Another pause. Then quietly, yes. That one word destroyed me. I felt my knees buckle. Sarah and Jessica caught me before I hit the floor. I heard my mom screaming at Nathan through the phone, but I couldn't make out the words. All I could think was that this was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, and instead it was the worst. Amanda was crying now too. I'm so sorry, she kept saying. I had no idea. He told me you were his ex. He said you had broken up but stayed friends. He showed me photos but said they were old. I believed him. I'm so stupid. You're not stupid, I said. My voice was hollow. We both believed him. He lied to both of us. My wedding planner was trying to figure out logistics. We need to make a decision soon, she said gently. Guests will start arriving in 2 hours. Do we cancel? Do we postpone? The thought of having to tell 200 people that my wedding was canceled because my fiancé was a cheating liar made me want to disappear. But I couldn't go through with marrying him, even if somehow his explanation made sense, which I knew it wouldn't. The trust was gone. Everything was gone. Cancel it, I said. Call everyone. Tell them the wedding is off.
My mom was still on the phone with Nathan.
He was apparently on his way to the venue. He wanted to talk to me in person. To explain. My mom told him not to bother, but he was coming anyway.
Part of me wanted to see him, to look him in the eyes and ask why.
Another part of me never wanted to see his face again. I went back upstairs to the bridal suite in a daze. My bridesmaids followed in silence. We sat there not knowing what to do. My wedding dress was hanging on the closet door, mocking me. The beautiful lace gown I had spent months finding. The dress I was supposed to wear while marrying the man I loved. Now it was just a painful reminder of my own stupidity. Sarah tried to comfort me, but I couldn't cry. I was beyond tears. I was numb. I kept looking at the photos Amanda had given me. Nathan and Amanda at the beach. Nathan and Amanda at dinner. Nathan and Amanda looking like a happy couple.
How had he managed this?
How had he kept up this charade for 2 years? About 20 minutes later, I heard his voice downstairs. Nathan had arrived.
He was asking for me.
Demanding to see me. My dad, who had also arrived, was blocking him. I could hear them arguing. My bridesmaids formed a protective circle around me, like I might try to run to him. I wasn't going to. I couldn't move. Eventually my dad came upstairs.
He wants to talk to you, he said.
His voice was tight with anger. I told him you don't owe him anything, but he's refusing to leave. Do you want me to call the police? I thought about it. Part of me wanted to hide up here forever. But another part needed answers. Needed to hear him try to explain the inexplicable. I stood up and smoothed my robe. I'll talk to him. But not alone. I want witnesses. We went downstairs. Nathan was in the main hall, looking disheveled and panicked. His groomsmen were with him, looking confused and uncomfortable. When he saw me, his face crumpled. He started walking toward me, but my dad stepped between us. Stay there, my dad said firmly. You can talk from where you are. Nathan stopped. He looked at me with tears in his eyes. Claire, please let me explain. Explain what? I asked. My voice was surprisingly steady. Explain how you've been cheating on me for 2 years? Explain how you lied to me and to her? Explain how you were going to marry me while having a whole other girlfriend on the side? Please, Nathan, enlighten me. It's not what it looks like, he started. Don't, I interrupted. Don't insult my intelligence. I've seen the evidence. The text messages where you told her you loved her. The photos of you two together. The hotel receipts. You were living a double life and you got caught. That's what this is. Nathan ran his hands through his hair. A gesture I used to find endearing. Now it just made me angry. I never meant to hurt you, he said. It just happened. I met Amanda at a conference, and we connected. I tried to end it, but I couldn't. I love you both. You don't love me, I said. The realization hit me as I said it. You can't love someone and do this to them. You can't love someone and lie to them every single day. You can't love someone and plan a wedding while sleeping with someone else. That's not love, Nathan. I don't even know what that is, but it's not love.
He was crying now.
Actually crying.
Please don't do this.
We can work through it. I'll go to counseling. I'll do whatever it takes. Just don't cancel the wedding. I laughed. It was a harsh, bitter sound. You think I'm going to marry you after this? You think I'm going to stand up there in front of everyone and promise to love and honor you when you've been dishonoring me for 2 years? Are you insane? We've built a life together, he pleaded. We have a house. We have plans. We have a future. We had a future, I corrected. Past tense. You destroyed that when you decided to cheat on me. This is over, Nathan. We're over. He tried to come closer, but my dad blocked him again. Claire, please. I'm begging you. Don't throw away 5 years because of one mistake. One mistake. I felt my composure cracking. A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk. A mistake is being late to dinner. A 2-year affair is not a mistake, Nathan.
It's a choice.
Multiple choices. Hundreds of choices to lie and cheat and betray me. Don't you dare minimize this. Amanda spoke up from where she was standing near the entrance. She's right. You lied to both of us. You were planning to marry her while promising me a future. You're not a good person, Nathan. I thought I loved you, but I don't even know who you are. Nathan's face twisted with anger. You shouldn't even be here, Amanda. This is between me and Claire. No, I said firmly. She has every right to be here. She's a victim in this too. You lied to her just like you lied to me. She deserves answers just as much as I do. Nathan looked between the two of us and seemed to realize he had lost. He had lost both of us. His shoulders sagged. What do you want me to do? He asked quietly. I want you to leave, I said. I want you to go tell your groomsmen and your family that the wedding is canceled because you're a cheater. I want you to face the consequences of your actions. And then I want you out of my life forever. What about the house? He asked. Always practical even in crisis. What about our stuff? My lawyer will be in touch, I said coldly. We'll figure out the logistics later. Right now, I just want you gone. He stood there for another moment looking at me like he was waiting for me to change my mind. When I didn't, he finally turned and walked away. His groomsmen followed silently. I watched him leave and felt nothing. The man I thought I loved was a stranger. The life I thought we would have was a fantasy. It was all gone. After Nathan left, the venue exploded with activity. My wedding planner was calling all the vendors to cancel. My mom was calling guests to let them know the wedding was off. My bridesmaids were helping me pack up all my wedding stuff. Amanda stood off to the side looking lost. I walked over to her. Thank you for telling me, I said. I know this was hard for you too. You saved me from making the biggest mistake of my life. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry. For all of it. I should have seen the signs. I should have known. We both should have, I said. But he was good at lying. Really good. Don't blame yourself. We exchanged numbers before she left. Two women who had been deceived by the same man finding an unlikely connection in shared betrayal. I watched her drive away and wondered what she would do now. What would I do now? The rest of the day was a blur. We managed to reach most of the guests before they arrived. A few showed up anyway and had to be turned away with awkward explanations. The vendors were surprisingly understanding. Most didn't charge us cancellation fees when they heard what happened. Small mercies. By evening, the venue was cleared out. The flowers that were supposed to decorate my ceremony were loaded into my mom's car. The cake that was supposed to be our wedding cake was donated to a local shelter. My wedding dress was still hanging in the bridal suite. I couldn't bring myself to look at it. Sarah drove me home. Not to the house I shared with Nathan, but to my parents' house where I would be staying until I figured out my next steps. I sat in the passenger seat staring out the window, feeling completely empty. My phone kept buzzing with messages from concerned friends and family, but I couldn't bring myself to respond. That night, I finally cried. I sat in my childhood bedroom surrounded by my bridesmaids, and I cried until I had no tears left. I cried for the relationship I thought I had. I cried for the future I had planned. I cried for my own naivety in not seeing what was right in front of me. I cried until I was exhausted and hollow. The next few days were a nightmare of logistics. I had to return wedding gifts, cancel the honeymoon, deal with the house and the finances. Nathan tried to call me multiple times, but I blocked his number. His mother called to apologize and beg me to reconsider. I told her gently that her son had made his choices, and now we all had to live with them. About a week after the canceled wedding, I received a message from someone I didn't know. A woman named Rebecca. She said she needed to talk to me about Nathan. My stomach sank. Was there another one? Had he been cheating on both of us with someone else? I agreed to meet Rebecca at a coffee shop. She showed up looking nervous and clutching her phone. Thank you for meeting me, she said. I know this is probably the last thing you want to deal with. What is this about? I asked. Rebecca took a deep breath. I work with Nathan. In his office. I've been watching what's been happening, and I felt like you should know some things. Things about who he really is. She pulled out her phone and showed me a group chat. It was Nathan and several of his coworkers. The messages made me feel sick. Nathan had been bragging about having 2 women, making crude jokes about juggling Claire and Amanda, placing bets on whether he could actually pull off the wedding without getting caught. His coworkers were encouraging him. I should have said something sooner, Rebecca said quietly. But I didn't want to cause problems.
I'm so sorry.
After everything came out, I couldn't stay silent anymore. You deserve to know that he thought this was a game. I stared at the messages, feeling a new wave of anger wash over me. He had turned my life into entertainment for his coworkers. He had bet on my humiliation. This wasn't just cheating.
This was cruelty.
Can you send me screenshots?
I asked.
Rebecca nodded. I already have them ready. I thought you might want them. Also, you should know that several people in the office have reported him to HR. What he did was unprofessional and created a hostile work environment. He's under investigation. For the first time since this nightmare started, I felt a small flicker of satisfaction. Nathan was going to face consequences at work. His actions weren't just destroying his personal life, but his professional one too.
Good.
Over the next few weeks, I learned more about the real Nathan. It turned out Amanda wasn't his first affair. There had been others before her. Women who came forward after hearing about the canceled wedding. Nathan had a pattern of pursuing women while in committed relationships. He was a serial cheater who got a thrill from the deception. One woman named Olivia reached out to tell me she had dated Nathan 3 years ago. She broke up with him when she caught him texting another girl. That girl was me. Olivia said she tried to warn me, but Nathan convinced her to stay quiet by playing the victim. He told her I was fragile and the information would destroy me. She believed him. Another lie. The pieces started falling into place. Nathan's frequent business trips were sometimes real, but often covers for seeing other women. His guarded phone contained multiple dating apps and secret message threads. His gym membership was legitimate, but he was using the gym to meet women. Everything about our relationship had been built on lies. The house we shared went up for sale. I couldn't afford it on my own, and I didn't want it anyway. Too many memories of a life that never really existed. Nathan moved in with a friend. I heard through mutual acquaintances that he was having a hard time.
Good.
His job investigation concluded with him being fired. Apparently, the messages Rebecca showed me were just the tip of the iceberg. Nathan had been harassing female coworkers and using company resources to facilitate his affairs. The company decided he was a liability and let him go. His career in pharmaceutical sales was effectively over. Word spread fast in that industry. I started therapy to process everything that happened. My therapist helped me understand that none of this was my fault, that I couldn't have prevented Nathan's choices, that trusting your partner is not naivety, that his betrayal said everything about him and nothing about me. Slowly, I started to heal. Amanda and I became unlikely friends. We would meet for coffee and talk about our experiences with Nathan, about the red flags we missed, about the lies he told, about how to move forward. She was dealing with her own healing process, and it helped both of us to have someone who understood. 3 months after the canceled wedding, I ran into Nathan at a grocery store. It was the first time I had seen him since that horrible day at the venue. He looked terrible, tired and worn down. He tried to talk to me, but I walked past him without a word. I had nothing to say to him. He followed me into the parking lot. "Claire, please. Just give me 5 minutes." I turned to face him. "No, Nathan.
You don't get any more of my time.
You had 5 years and you wasted all of it." "I know I messed up," he said desperately. "But I miss you. I miss us. Can't we try again?" I laughed. "Are you serious right now? You cheated on me for 2 years. You humiliated me in front of everyone. You destroyed my trust and my future. And you think I would ever consider taking you back?" "I've changed," he insisted. "I've been in therapy. I understand now what I did wrong. I want to make it right." "You can't make it right. I said firmly. What you did can't be fixed. I've moved on, Nathan. You should too. Have you met someone? He asked. The jealousy in his voice was almost funny. That's none of your business, I said. My life is none of your business anymore. Stay away from me. I got in my car and drove away. My hands were shaking, but I felt strong. I had faced him, and I hadn't crumbled. I hadn't fallen for his manipulation. I was really moving on. The truth was I hadn't met anyone new. I wasn't ready for that yet. But I was rediscovering myself. I started taking painting classes, something I had loved in college, but given up. I traveled to places I had always wanted to see. I spent time with friends and family. I focused on my career and got a promotion. I was building a life that was mine and mine alone. 6 months after the canceled wedding, I received a letter from Nathan's mother. She wrote that Nathan had moved to another state to start over, that he was still struggling with what he had done, that she hoped someday I could forgive him. She said he truly did love me, he just didn't know how to be faithful. I wrote back. I told her that love without respect means nothing, that her son didn't just make mistakes, he made choices, that I had forgiven him in my own way by letting go of the anger, but that didn't mean I would ever forget or allow him back in my life. I wished her well and asked her not to contact me again. Amanda sent me a message around the same time. She had met someone new, someone honest and kind. She said she was happy and healing. She thanked me for being there for her when she felt completely alone. I was genuinely happy for her. We both deserved better than Nathan. My wedding dress sat in my parents' garage for months. I couldn't bring myself to sell it or donate it. It represented too much pain. But one day I looked at it, and I didn't feel sad anymore. I felt grateful. Grateful that I found out the truth before I married him. Grateful that I had a chance to start over. Grateful for the strength I discovered in myself. I sold the dress to a consignment shop. Someone else would wear it on their actual wedding day. Someone whose groom wouldn't betray them hours before the ceremony. I hoped whoever bought it had a beautiful marriage. They deserved the happiness that dress was supposed to represent. A year after the canceled wedding, I was doing well. Really well. I had processed the trauma with my therapist. I had rebuilt my confidence and my trust in my own judgment. I had learned to see the red flags I missed with Nathan. I was stronger and wiser and more careful. I eventually started dating again. Nothing serious at first, just meeting people and seeing what was out there. I was cautious but not closed off. I knew not every man was like Nathan. I knew healthy relationships existed. I just needed to find someone who respected me. His name was Daniel, and I met him at a friend's dinner party. He was a teacher like me, kind and genuine and refreshingly honest. We started talking and didn't stop. On our first date, he told me about his past relationships with complete transparency. On our second date, I told him about Nathan and the canceled wedding. He listened without judgment. Daniel and I took things slow. I needed that. He understood and never pushed. He showed me through actions that he was trustworthy. He introduced me to his friends and family. He included me in his life openly. There were no secrets, no locked phones, no suspicious trips, just honest communication. 2 years after the canceled wedding, Daniel and I moved in together. It felt different than it had with Nathan. Healthier, more stable, built on a foundation of truth instead of lies. I found myself trusting again, believing in love again. But this time I was wiser about what real love looked like. I heard through the grapevine that Nathan was struggling. He had burned through multiple jobs and relationships. His reputation preceded him everywhere he went. People in our social circle had shared what he did, and word spread. He was facing the long-term consequences of his choices. Part of me felt bad for him, but mostly I felt nothing. Nathan was a chapter of my life that was closed. He taught me lessons I needed to learn about trust and self-worth and recognizing my own value. Those lessons were painful, but necessary. I wouldn't be who I was now without having survived what he put me through. 3 years after the canceled wedding, Daniel proposed. It was simple and private. Just the two of us on a beach at sunset. He didn't ask in front of people or make it a spectacle. He told me he loved me and wanted to spend his life with me and asked if I would marry him. I said yes, without hesitation. Planning our wedding was completely different than planning with Nathan. Daniel was involved in every decision. He cared about the details. He showed up to every meeting and tasting and appointment. He was excited and present and honest. There were no secrets, no red flags, just two people building something together. We got married at a small ceremony with close friends and family. No vineyard estate. Number 200 guests. Just the people who mattered most to us. It was perfect. I walked down the aisle without fear or doubt. I said my vows knowing I was marrying someone who truly loved and respected me. We danced and laughed and celebrated real love. On my wedding day, I thought about that morning 3 years earlier. The morning I was supposed to marry Nathan. The morning Amanda showed up and saved me from making the biggest mistake of my life. I felt grateful it happened. Grateful for the path it put me on. Grateful it led me here. I never saw Nathan again after that day in the grocery store parking lot. I heard he eventually moved across the country. That he was working in a different industry. That he had learned some hard lessons about consequences. I hoped he had actually changed, but it wasn't my concern anymore. He was someone else's problem now. Amanda came to my wedding. She and I had remained friends through everything. She was in a serious relationship too. We both had found happiness after Nathan. We had survived and thrived. Looking at her across the reception, I felt proud of both of us. We had refused to let his betrayal define us. My dad gave a toast at the reception. He said he was glad I had Daniel instead of the man I almost married. He said watching me survive and overcome the canceled wedding made him proud. He said I had shown more strength and grace than he could have imagined. I cried happy tears listening to him. That night lying next to my new husband, I reflected on everything that led to this moment. The pain and humiliation of the canceled wedding. The anger and betrayal. The slow process of healing. The cautious return to trusting. The finding of real love. It had been a long, difficult journey, but I made it through. I learned that sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the best thing. That being saved from a bad marriage is a gift even when it doesn't feel like one. That betrayal can lead to growth if you let it. That rock bottom is a solid foundation to rebuild from. That you are stronger than you think you are. If I could go back and tell my younger self anything, it would be this. Trust your instincts. Don't ignore red flags. Know your worth. Demand honesty and respect. And know that if someone can cheat on you, they were never worthy of you in the first place. You deserve someone who chooses you completely without question every single day. Nathan tried to destroy me 3 hours before our wedding. Instead, he freed me. He freed me from a life of lies and betrayal. He freed me to find real love and real happiness. He freed me to become the woman I was meant to be. And for that, even though it hurt so much, I am grateful. The wedding that never was became the catalyst for the life I actually wanted. Sometimes the worst day of your life is really the first day of your new life. You just can't see it yet through the pain. But time reveals the truth. The breakdown becomes the breakthrough. The ending becomes the beginning. I am happy now. Truly, genuinely happy in a way I never was with Nathan. I am married to a man who loves me with honesty and integrity. I have a life built on truth instead of deception. I have learned lessons about myself and love that will serve me forever. The canceled wedding was the best thing that never happened to me. And somewhere out there is a woman wearing my wedding dress getting married to someone who actually deserves her. Someone who will stand at the altar and mean every word of their vows. Someone who will choose her every day without hesitation. And I hope she lives happily ever after, because now I understand what that really means. The truth set me free even though at first it destroyed me. And I would rather live in difficult truth than comfortable lies. Every single time. That's the lesson Nathan taught me, though I doubt he meant to. And it's a lesson I will carry with me for the rest of my life as I build something real with someone who actually knows what love means. 3 hours before my wedding was supposed to start, my entire world fell apart. 3 years later, I built a better world from the pieces. And that is the real ending to my story. Not the fairy tale, I thought I wanted, but the authentic love story I actually needed. And I wouldn't change a single painful moment because they all led me here.
To this life.
To this love. To this version of myself who knows her worth and refuses to settle for anything less than she deserves. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is really the universe saving you from something even worse. And I was saved 3 hours before I made a mistake I could never undo. That woman in the white dress carrying a folder full of receipts was my guardian angel, even though at the time she felt like my worst nightmare. She gave me the truth, and the truth gave me my life back. And for that I will be forever grateful.